Good afternoon, gamers, and welcome to episode 24 of Games with Dave. This afternoon, I am joined by one half of the Blaek Games crew with Tommy Sunzenauer. Tommy and his business partner, Ricki Hogaard, have an amazing and already funded Kickstarter, Goblin Gonzo, a standalone tabletop RPG built off the Mork Borg engine. Good afternoon, gamers, and welcome to episode 24 of Games with... There we go, my audio kicked back into my ear. Sorry about that. But it's built off the Mork Borg engine, which is also compatible with Mork Borg. This is a game where you take on the role of a filthy, batshit crazy goblin hell-bent on causing chaos. Thank you so much for joining me today, Tommy.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so excited about this. Like I was saying before we got started, I love goblins. And I saw this Kickstarter and it was an instant back for me. So, and congrats on funding in 1 hour. That is so badass.
Thank you.
How many stretch goals have you passed through so far, and how many are left?
Oh, I don't remember right now, but I think we are almost at 13,000 euros now. So the last couple of stretch goals were 2 new character classes that we unlocked. And the first one was actually just getting the book being a hardcover book instead of a zine or a softcover. And now we just unlocked the new character sheet. So that's on the drawing table right now.
Nice. And I think I saw those posted on the Kickstarter of the goblin opening up his jacket.
And... yeah, very inspired by the Gremlins.
Yeah.
I think it's the Gremlins 2 where that's a gremlin with the trench coat. So I saw that picture and drew it from that.
That is fantastic. Another stretch goal that really piqued my interest was the Swamp Goblin. Will that be the same as the Swamp Goblin in Swamp?
Yeah, kind of. In Swamp, it's just, it doesn't say that much in the Swamp book about this goblin, except that it has skills and can breathe underwater and stuff. We added a lot more flavor to it in this book because it's going to be a playable class. So we had to put a lot of background on it.
Sweet.
So it's kind of an expansion of the Swamp Goblin from the Swamp book.
Nice. Now, brain fart there. You said it will be an expansion on the one from Swamp.
Yeah.
Okay. So another one of my favorite pledge levels in this game includes a cassette tape.
Yeah.
What can you tell me so far, like, about that tape from the artists that are going to be on it? And it looks like there's a really cool way you're making them.
Yeah, we are. The way we are making them is by upcycling old tapes. So we are scavenging thrift shops and buying all these old cassettes, and then we're going to play them over. And we have a lot of artists on board already. A few of those I can mention is Loot the Body, who makes a lot of tabletop role-playing related music, and the doom metal band Bog Wizard. They also have a track for the cassette. And then we just got a band called Trollgasm on board. They have this awesome song called the Goblin Song that they allowed us to use.
Wait, I'm writing these guys down so I can check them out after.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this. So are you going to be painting the tapes like green, or are you going to leave the original?
No, we are going to make some hand printed inlays for them. And then so far the idea is to actually paint by hand all the tapes. So every tape will be completely unique.
That's awesome. So can you talk a little bit about the Goblin Scrolls being introduced in Goblin Gonzo, and then the arcane catastrophes for how they bail you out of trouble.
It's the Goblin Scrolls. It's Ricki has written a lot of them, so we have really many Goblin Scrolls in there, and the mechanics are the same as in Mork Borg. You have these powers you can use every day, and you can cast the scrolls or cast the spells by reading the scrolls, by making a presence test, just like we use all the core mechanics from Mork Borg. And just like in Mork Borg, if you roll a 1 when they're reading a spell, something is going to go very, very wrong. And it actually can be lethal for the whole party.
Oh boy.
And these scrolls are very, very weird as well. It's not just like casting a fireball. I won't spoil them, but they are very weird.
That's awesome. I mean, they kind of have to be weird with them being Goblin Scrolls.
Exactly.
Another thing that really intrigued me that I saw with this is the cookie mechanic. What can you tell me about that?
The cookie mechanic is it's our way of encouraging players to really act out chaotic when they roleplay these goblins. So it's a mechanic where you where both the other players and the GM can award each other with these cookies, as we call them. And these cookies, you can collect them, and when you have one, you can do something with them, and if you have two, you can do something better with them. So it's kind of like the inspiration token from Dungeons and Dragons. But here it's the players who award it to each other. So it's a way of making people really getting into the role play.
Nice. I can just picture two little goblins handing a cookie back and forth.
Exactly. And you can use whatever as cookies. It doesn't have to be a cookie. It can be something edible or something drinkable or actual tokens. It's totally up to you.
Cool. So you can have a pet, like a rat, bat, or a spider. What other types of pets are you encouraging people to have? Is it really up to the imagination, or?
Pets are actually a big part of the book. We have tables for every pet. You know, you can like for the rats, you can, if you roll a 1, you just get a totally common rat. But if you roll a 6, you will get a dog-sized rat that you can actually ride on if you're one of the smaller goblin species. And the same applies with the spiders, because goblins riding spiders is really cool. And and bats. And then we have some kind of mutated dogs you can you can have as pets as well.
That's awesome. I can just picture playing a goblin on a giant rat. That paints such a vivid picture in my mind of.
Exactly.
Another one that really I've got to have you explain to me is the game of Sneeze.
The game of Sneeze. Now we needed to have Ricki on here to tell about that. A game of Sneeze is something that the goblins play, where I think it's something about putting a stick in each other's noses until one of them sneezes. But that's the rules of the game. But as you can see on I don't know if you saw the illustration on the Kickstarter page.
I did.
Usually it just ends up in being two goblins totally ripping each other apart. So that's just a part of the world building we're doing for Goblin Gonzo.
Oh man, I cannot wait for this. This is going to be so much fun. Can you give me a bit of info on the various tribes that you're introducing in the game, and just how friggin' bonkers are they all?
We have a lot of backgrounds that you can. They are of course optional to roll on, but some of these backgrounds can also be tribes. Like if you are If you are a tribal goblin, of course, you can roll on the tribes. And if you are the Sump Goblin, also rolls on the tribes. And we have we have a tribe of feather, I think, where they actually think they can fly, these goblins, and they are wearing feathers. And we have a tribe of bone, where you get some extra magic powers by throwing these bones, and they can show you the right way and a lot of other stuff. Then we have the tribe of dirt. I'm not quite sure what these guys do. Probably just digging themselves down in mud and filth. Yeah, that's the tribes I remember right now.
Okay.
And besides the tribes, there's also all these other backgrounds. And combined, if you choose a character class and a tribe and a background, you can get some really crazy combinations.
Just picturing a poor goblin trying to fly and the disastrous results that are going to follow, and he tries to off of something and just
I can spoil to you, they can't fly.
They can splat, but they can't fly. So I also saw that you're introducing some new monsters in Goblin Gonzo. Can you say anything about them without spoiling too much?
Oh, we're not that far with the monsters yet. So most things are just ideas right now, so I don't want to get too much into those.
Okay.
But we're going to have a little bestiary in the book, both for monsters, with the stats, because you need that in every game, but also for humans, because a lot of the combat in Goblin Gonzo will probably be you against the humans. So we're going to make all kinds of example of different humans and their jobs. Like you can meet the butcher and the stable boy, and then we have statted these out and what weapons they can have and stuff.
That sounds interesting. So if there is anyone out there still debating whether or not they should back Goblin Gonzo, what would you say to them to get them to back it?
Everybody wants to be a goblin. That's the main reason. This game lets you roam freely as a goblin. There are, all this stuff you want to do in other RPGs, you can do in this and just act out really, really crazy. So it's going to be really fun and really crazy.
It definitely sounds like it on both fronts. So
And
really,
it's also a very easy game. If for people out there who are not familiar with Mork Borg, it's very rules light. It's more about storytelling than it is about rules and stats and stuff. And we built this game off of the Mork Borg engine. That means it's very easy for everyone to get into.
that's fantastic. Well, I'm definitely going to be trying to build a group around playing Goblin Gonzo. It's got to happen. And really the last thing that I had for you, Tommy, was at the $19,000 stretch goal, which I think you guys can hit for sure. There is what's called the Goblin Spawner. Can you tell me what that might entail if that stretch goal is hit?
Yes, the Goblin Spawner. I really hope that we will reach that stretch goal, because we will have someone program this website for us where you can just click a single button and it will generate a random character for you to play as in Goblin Gonzo. So we will have to make a lot of tables with all these character classes and their backgrounds and their pets and everything, and get them compressed into this program where you can just enter a button and you will get a complete description with name and stats and everything of a goblin you can play in Goblin Gonzo.
Wow.
So that's a very awesome thing that I really hope we get to do. And it will also make it so much easier when your character is going to die, which it probably will in Goblin Gonzo, you can just, instead of rolling up a new character mid-game, you can just click a button and you got this character laid out for you.
That sounds pretty frickin' fantastic. Because I would just build a little army of goblins. I'd keep clicking the button and printing them off.
Yeah.
And then just have a stack ready to go.
Well, we actually have I just came to think of, we have a character class in the book where you actually get to play more than one goblin, but you are very small goblins. I think we call them the Quarks, and you roll 2d4s, if I remember correctly, and that's how many goblins you actually will play as one person.
Oh, wow.
So these goblins have like this kind of hive mind, so you can control them all at once, and they can, you know, do the classic goblins on each other's shoulders with a trench coat, sneak in, being a human being.
That's what I was just going to say, was the goblin in the trench coat. And
exactly. And they also tend to dress as rodents, you know, wearing dead rats as disguises to sneak in.
Oh man!
So we have these. That's the smallest goblin in the. They are about the size of the rat, and then we have this huge ogre goblin you can play as well, who is just like 2 meters tall, brute force goblin.
Oh wow!
So we have very, very different kind of goblins. So you can really assemble a really weird team of players here.
It sounds like it. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on, or feel like there's anything that I missed that you would like to bring up?
Yeah, I can tell you about the 2 scenarios we have in the book.
Oh yeah, I actually had that written down and had a brain
we had to since it's a new game, we had to make some scenarios for people to try it out when they get the book in their hands. So Ricki has made one that is this really weird, like a weird West setting, where you come to a very small town, and there's a carnival or a circus in town, and then we build it like this mini sandbox. So you just have this huge map of the town, and then everything is numbered, and you can look up the NPCs you will meet there and what events are happening, and we are making this timeline mechanics. So different stuff will happen during the game, and the thing about this scenario is that there's no mission for you to go on. I mean, you have to create your own mission. So you just go in there and do whatever you want. So that's, at least for me, a very different way of making a scenario. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
That is going to be a lot of fun, because...
Yeah, and then the other one is a bit more of a classical scenario. It's a heist scenario where you're like very classic. You're on this mission to break into this mansion owned by a filthy rich scumbag called Lord Orworm, and you actually have to. You're carrying a baby goblin with you, and you have to kidnap this rich bastard's daughter and switch it with a goblin child. You know, that's inspired from the old folklores about the changelings, where trolls and goblins and like switching human children with goblin children. So that's going to be a classic heist, but with a very goblin twist to it.
And what could possibly go wrong with that one?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I am really looking forward to this book, and that was actually all I had for today. But thank you so much for joining me. I wish you nothing but continued success with this project and any of your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Folks, if you have not backed Goblin Gonzo yet and would like to, you can find a link to the Kickstarter in the description, as well as a link to Blaek Games as well. And thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the interview. And if you did, leave a like and maybe subscribe to the channel and check out some of the other ZineQuest interviews I have. And have a great day, folks. And be sure to check under your